We perform for approval and applause, but the cost of that applause is often the quiet erosion of who we truly are. Welcome to We Have a Spiritual Problem, a podcast where we confront the deeper questions beneath our personal struggles and collective crises. I am your host, Dr. Jeff Armstrong. I am not a theologian or a philosopher, or at least by training. I am a PhD exercise physiologist with an interest in the intersection of the physical and the spiritual. In this episode, we explore the tension between who we appear to be and who we actually are, how social media has made our image more important than our integrity, how leadership has become performance art, and how all of this distances us from the very wholeness we're meant to cultivate. So let's get honest, get human, and maybe rediscover what it means to live without a mask. Because if we're serious about spiritual growth, we can't keep hiding from ourselves. We've always worn masks. Long before Instagram filters and LinkedIn profiles, humans were shaping and managing how they appeared to others. In tribal settings, in ancient rituals, in early cities, our survival often depended on belonging, and belonging meant being seen the right way. But never in human history have we had such an industrialized, technological, amplified way of curating the self. Social media doesn't just connect us, it commodifies us. It's no longer enough to be someone, we must perform being someone. The construct of digital selves, portfolios of identity that project confidence, capability, or enlightenment, while concealing our fragility, doubt, or imperfection. And what's wild is, we all know we're doing it. We scroll through highlight reels of other people's lives while curating our own. It's a kind of silent agreement. I'll believe your facade if you believe mine. But spiritually, this is devastating, because growth, the kind that changes us at the soul level, requires truth. It requires vulnerability, and the facade is the opposite of both. Psychologists talk about the concept of ideal self versus real self. The greater the distance between the two, the greater our anxiety, our dissatisfaction, our inner tension. The facade widens that gap. While the image we present diverges too far from who we really are, we begin to live a kind of spiritual dissonance. It's not just emotional stress, it's existential. In his book, The Road to Character, David Brooks contrasts what he calls resume virtues and eulogy virtues. Resume virtues are the things we want others to see, our skills, our achievements, our accolades. Eulogy virtues are what people say about us when we're gone. Our kindness, our humility, our love. The facade is built from resume virtues. The soul is built on eulogy virtues. The more we feed the facade, the hungrier our soul becomes. Let's talk about the digital layers of this. Social media platforms were designed to connect, but the incentive structure rewards performance. The more attention you attract, the more validation you receive. Likes, shares, followers, they become currency for identity. So we start optimizing our lives for visibility. We post not what's true, but what's performative. We become marketers of ourselves. That's not connection, that's branding. And branding requires consistency, not authenticity. It demands control, not vulnerability. It's no wonder we feel lonelier than ever. When everyone is busy managing perception, no one is truly present. From a spiritual perspective, this is a profound distortion of identity, because the sacred truth of being human is that we are becoming, not performing. The spiritual life is not about constructing a perfect image. It's about revealing an authentic soul. But here's where it gets even trickier. We don't just perform online. We perform at home. Many of us are one person in public and another in private. This can be intentional or unintentional. We show strength at work and exhaustion to our spouse. We post gratitude and practice resentment. Our families, our partners, our closest friends often get the unfiltered version, the frustrated, insecure, or fearful one. And we justify it as just being real. But that's not authenticity either. That's fragmentation. Authenticity isn't about dumping raw emotion. Authenticity isn't about dumping on one's family and smiling for the neighbors and colleagues. It's about integration, aligning who we are across context, the same person online, offline, at work, and at home. But that takes courage. because it means confronting the parts of ourselves that aren't pretty, the envy, the fear, the insecurity. And yet that's exactly where spiritual growth happens. The sacred work of the human journey is not projecting perfection, but integrating imperfection. This brings us to leadership, something we've been discussing most recently on this podcast. Leadership in the modern age has become synonymous with image management. Leaders are coached on optics, narrative, executive presence. We measure charisma more than character. But the best leaders I've known, the ones who actually transform communities, organizations, or movements, don't lead from a facade. They lead from presence. They embody alignment between what they say, what they do, and who they are. Servant leadership, as Robert Greenleaf envisioned it, begins with self-awareness, and self-awareness requires dropping the mask. When leaders pretend to have it all together, they rob their followers of humanity. But when leaders are honest about their own learning, their own imperfection, they give others permission to grow too. Spiritual leadership is not about being impressive, it's about being real. Each dimension offers a mirror for authenticity. Spiritual, are my outer actions aligned with my inner values? Physical, am I honoring the truth of my body or ignoring its signals to maintain an image of control? Intellectual, am I curious enough to challenge my own narratives? Emotional, am I expressing what I truly feel or suppressing it to seem composed? Social, are my relationships built on mutual truth or mutual performance? The SPIES model reminds us that wholeness requires integration. A facade might protect us temporarily, but it fractures us eventually. To evolve spiritually, it is to move toward coherence, to let our inner and outer selves become one. If we step back and consider this through the lens of spiritual evolution, the facade becomes not just a psychological defense mechanism, but a developmental stage. Early in our evolution, both as individuals and as species, we needed facades. They protect us. They help us navigate complex social realities. But eventually, the mask that once served us begins to suffocate us. Teilhard de Chardin spoke of evolution as movement toward the omega point, toward greater consciousness, greater unity. The facade resists that movement. It fragments consciousness. It keeps us small. Every time we remove a mask, we expand awareness. Every act of honesty is an evolutionary step toward spiritual maturity. This episode is my effort to remove the mask. I come on this podcast and speak of spiritual evolution, but my wife and kids are likely to point to my lack thereof. It is a personal struggle. Personal struggles are the point of this podcast. I'm not here to lecture the viewer or the listener. I am not here to place myself on a pedestal or to be placed on a pedestal. Instead, I am here to say that I too am struggling to stay afloat in this quicksand we call life. The cost of maintaining the facade is enormous. Emotionally, it drains us. Relationally, it isolates us. Spiritually, it numbs us. Because when we're performing, we can't connect. And when we can't connect, we can't love. The irony is that what we fear most, rejection, is exactly what the facade guarantees. We think we're protecting ourselves by hiding, but we're actually ensuring that no one ever truly sees us. Love, belonging, and transformation all require exposure. The facade prevents all three. So how do we begin dismantling it? Not by announcing our authenticity online, but by cultivating integrity offline. Start with awareness. Notice when you shift your tone, your posture, your persona, depending on the audience. Ask yourself, what am I trying to protect? Then practice congruence. Say what you mean, but say it with kindness and love. Admit when you don't know. Be the same person in private as you are in public. Finally, surround yourself with people who can handle your truth. Authenticity cannot grow in environments that reward pretense. This is not about radical transparency. It's about sacred honesty. It's about living as if your soul were visible. At its heart, this is not about psychology or behavior. It's about reclaiming our humanity. The spiritual path is not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming whole. And wholeness demands integration, bringing the hidden parts of ourselves into the light of awareness and love. When we stop performing, we start transforming. When we stop curating, we start connecting. And maybe, just maybe, that's what the world needs most right now. Not more influencers, not more experts, not more image makers, but more humans. Humans willing to show up as they are, flaws and all, and say, this is me, still becoming, still learning, still enough. Respect others and who they are as well. If you remember nothing else from today's episode, remember this. The facade protects you from judgment, but it also protects you from love. True spirituality, true evolution, isn't about hiding your humanity. It's about embracing it. The path forward isn't to perfect your image. It's to embody your truth. That's how we heal the split between the public self and the private soul. That's how we move from performance to presence, from ego to essence. That's how we begin to solve our spiritual problem. It's also about healing and growing our private self. I have work to do. Thank you for joining me for this episode of We Have a Spiritual Problem. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who might be tired of performing and ready to live more authentically. Until next time, stay real, stay whole, and stay human.